In the hopes of being practical, let's take a look at some examples. The first of which you see here is Google Slides. For those of us unaware, Google Slides is Google's answer to Microsoft's PowerPoint. For a free online program, Google Slides has a number of really great features. Transitions, themes, backgrounds, layouts. You can change slide formats, insert pictures. You can insert shapes and line art. If you're into vector art and that kind of thing, you can make text boxes. It's a really nice free version of Microsoft. But PowerPoint does not have one feature that Google Slides does. Google Slides allows you to track every single change anybody will make on a PowerPoint. All you have to do is click on the changes, and you can track the amount of work being done at what time on what day by what person. This is really useful as a teacher because if somebody is having an issue with their group, you can go in and see who's doing work, when and where, and how much for that matter. Apple has their own answer to PowerPoint as well. Apple would be Keynote, and Keynote is pretty much the same as Google Slides. It's a robust program. It doesn't cost much. If anything, if you have a work account with Apple. But with the cross-platform nature now of all three formats, thanks to the cloud and internet service providers, all of these programs can be used on your Apple device, on your Android device, on your laptop. So they're pretty much, they just come down to preference, which brings us to workflow. Now, workflow apps such as Shobi really help centralize your digital workspace. They really help keep the classroom in one particular place and help you go paperless in the classroom itself. I don't collect papers anymore. I don't need them. This program is very similar to Blackboard. It has a discussion section. It has what is essentially a class blog or a discussion forum, if you will, and you can allow students to make comments or stop their comments as we go. You can hand out assignments. You can collect assignments. You can archive assignments and save all of those old assignments. You'll never lose another paper because you don't deal with it. This is great because at the very end of the day, I have all of the assignments from this year saved. I can duplicate this program for next year, which is really nice in the terms of long-term planning. Other workflow apps such as Google Drive itself. Again, this is cloud-based central location. This keeps all of your files in one place. You don't ever have to worry about forgetting a flash drive. You don't ever have to worry about missing out on group work if you're sick or not at work, or if you have a presentation due and the student's supposed to turn it in. You can check all of this. You can supervise what your students are doing. You can watch the students make their changes in real time. You can store notebooks, you can store workbooks, you can store textbooks, all on the drive, and that is particularly useful. Again, Apple has their own version called Apple Classroom, although I have to say Apple Classroom is much more about device management than it is about actual classroom work. Again, you can supervise what students are doing at any given point in time. You can, you have to work with a media device management software, mobile device management software, sorry. And you can also force students to work in a particular app. That is very useful if you have kids like mine who don't almost ever pay attention, probably like most of you right now. Which brings us to Office 365. Again, with this workflow thing, you really want to keep everything centralized. Now, Office 365 is excellent. It's much like the Google Drive or iCloud, which we'll get to. You have lots and lots of programs depending upon your school district's licensing with Microsoft. Now, Microsoft programs I find to be the best in terms of added features and everything you could want in one place. Now you have there's a whole bunch of boxes here, and we're not going to look at them all, but I'm going to highlight some important ones. You have OneNote. OneNote is a note-taking application and note sharing application for your students or for yourself. I had one student today tell me she actually likes it better than any of the note-taking apps she has on her iPad. Class OneNote is Microsoft's answer to Google Classroom or Apple Classroom. or Shobi or any of these mobile classroom apps. Okay. And again, it's the same idea. You set up classrooms or you set up notebooks and you put in notes and handouts and things of that nature. Mailing calendar, self-explanatory. Sway is a digital storytelling app. You can put in words and you can put in images. And this is a relatively new program from Microsoft that I am currently not totally familiar with. Word, PowerPoint, Excel, I'm assuming we're all familiar with these. OneDrive is just like the Google Drive. Forms is particularly useful. Forms is also a newer program by Microsoft, and it's been offered since Google started offering their Forms application. For those of you who didn't know, in Google Drive, you can use the Forms application to create online tests that will automatically sync to a spreadsheet and provide you with your graded rubric. It's a wonderful tool. Microsoft saw this and decided to do the same thing. Okay. Microsoft SharePoint. SharePoint is another doc sharing app where you can center all of your work around this single SharePoint. Microsoft is aiming more for the business end than they are for the education end. I do have to point that out. But their apps are very, very good, and they're working quite hard to streamline quite a bit of the interconnectivity between apps process. Microsoft Office Tasks is just a to-do list, but some of us need those to-do lists. And then finally, you have Power Apps. If you are the technologically inclined, you could build your own classroom apps. This is intriguing to me and something I'm going to be researching in the near future. What I have to say about the Microsoft stuff in general is with Microsoft comes that added security of it being Microsoft, and you get that added quality of them constantly throwing out updates and sending out, new application features. And that's really, really more useful than Google, which is pretty stationary most of the time. The downside to this is the Microsoft Office 365 does cost money, and all of these added features do cost money. Microsoft wouldn't be where they are now if they didn't charge you an arm and a leg. So let's take a look at this concept of gamification and the importance of adding art and engineering and math and science and tech all into one classroom. The first app we're going to look at, the first program we're going to look at is free. It's called Mozilla. It's called Thimble by Mozilla. Now, Thimble by Mozilla is, very simply put, an HTML editor, CSS editor. It's a website design program. And what it allows you to do is visualize your edits in real time. This is excellent for somebody who's trying to teach a computer course. You can see exactly when something is going to change, when something's going to work, or when it won't. Okay. This app has 3 separate sides. You can add anything that you can do on a regular web link you can do on a regular website, you can code here. And I find that particularly useful. And you can see that the HTML changes and the website itself changes. This is what the website itself would look like. Thimble is a web design tool that uses HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. You can use any of those programming languages in your websites. You can link to outside videos like to YouTube. You can embed fully functioning videos or fully functioning games. This is actually a student-created game added in Thimble. All right. The nice thing about Thimble itself is that there is no domain name to the website, so this is a completely safe website to use with your students at pretty much any age. This particular video game was created with a website, another safe website called Scratch. Now, Scratch was designed by people at MIT to help teach computer coding and engineering. This uses a slightly different tool set. This uses what is called JavaScript block coding. Your students are able to design and play their own video games. Okay, this is good for all ages. You can use this just for hour of code. Okay, you can use this for an art project. There are lots and lots of different options out there. You just have to kind of go through the Scratch website and look. This is another one that's a very safe website to use if you have younger students. In fact, during the summer, there are a number of summer camps that use this program to teach coding to younger children, such as Black Rocket Productions. If you're not interested in teaching them coding from scratch but want to play a game, you can try codecombat.org or .com rather. Codecombat.com is quite literally that. It's a game based on coding. You will select your levels, and then you will play these levels based on whatever commands need to be created. This is a lot of game and very little design, but the programming aspect of it is still the same. And I'm locked out at the moment, so we're going to ignore this and we're going to move on. Speaking of games and speaking of learning on games, perhaps we should take a look at some augmented reality, some 4D applications such as Quiver. Now, Quiver is really just a coloring app. There's not much to it. But Quiver can be used if you are, say, a high school home ec or garment design making teacher. If this is a class we offer here at my school. And I find it interesting that you can draw on a flat two-dimensional surface and have that augmented into a three-dimensional manipulatable object in your mobile device, iPad, Android, whatever. This is really cool. Again, this is one of the more free apps to download. There are a few things that you have to pay for, additional style packs and things like that. You can use these for education as well, although I find them not to be very high level. This is definitely aimed more towards the younger students for the most part. Here you can see a cell with the nucleus and ribosomes and mitochondria and whatnot. So you can make this work for you, but it's a matter of being it's a matter of finding that ingenuity and using it to your advantage. Skyview is an application on the laptops, on the iPads rather, I'm sorry, that allows you to view astronomical events regardless of what time of day it is outside. This is great for all ages. This lets you look up the sky and see a really bright star and say, hey, what is that? Point your iPad at it with the camera, and it'll tell you, oh, that's the moon, oh, that's Venus, oh, that's Mars. I have this on my iPad in class tonight. Please see me, and I can show you. It's a really great app, even just for kids, just for your own kids. It's a lot of fun. I also have another demo we'll show tonight called Element 4D. We will talk about that in class itself. Another augmented reality application is Aurasma. Now, Aurasma Studios is a free download. It is a free login. And what it is it allows the teacher to create your own 4D augmented reality experience. You take a picture, you scan it like a QR code with your smartphone, and a video pops up or some other kind of extra dimensional interaction occurs. This is really, really great. A really, really great example of technology being pulled into the classroom and pulling in the students' interest, because you can have them sign up for accounts and let them create their own 4D augmented reality experiences. And then as far as virtual experiences go, the last one I want to point out here is 123D Circuits by Autodesk. Autodesk has a number of excellent applications online that are totally free. All you have to do is sign in to one account, and your account works for all of them. This one is a really good example of how to make an electrical circuit work. What I have here, let me hide the computer programming. Here is an Arduino board with a couple of LEDs. And basically the purpose of this particular application is to create your own electrical devices, prototype your own electrical objects, and program them to do some, so have some function here. In this case, it's light up a couple of LEDs. Nothing too complicated, but it lets the students do all of these labs without actually going through supplies. Any of my fellow science teachers can attest to the cost of consumable labs. This is non-consumable. This is good for any age. You can use this for basic electronics all the way up to full computer programming, like what I have here. And again, you can see that the computer program is written and it's debugged and it runs correctly. Otherwise, you wouldn't see those LEDs light up. If I zoom out here, you should be able to still see the LEDs lighting up. That red one's a little weak, sorry, but the yellow and the green I think are a little bit more obvious. Finally, we have our assessment apps, things like Socrative, Kahoot, Pear Deck, and Nearpod. We're going to look at a couple of these. Nearpod is again, very much like it's an interactive slideshow app, but what's really nice about it is it allows you to introduce quiz questions or work questions right into the middle of your explanation. So here we have a physics explanation for work and energy. And this is very simple stuff. The goal of this class is to understand the concept of work and force. Great. So what is work? Work in physics is energy transferred by a force. So what is a force and what is energy? Well, you could sit there and talk about forces and energy and things like that. One thing that you have to understand in physics is that work is only done when there is a horizontal displacement of an object. When an object stops somewhere different than where it started in a horizontal fashion. So now you see, here's a man lifting a gigantic rock. Real strong guy. What does this image show? Does it show A, a man working? Does it show B, a really strong guy? Or C, rather. Or does it show B, a force being exerted? And I hope you noted that it shows you color code for which is the correct answer. And it also shows you here how many answered correct, incorrect, and not at all. Okay. And then it leaves you the opportunity for an explanation. Nearpod is really great because you can create your own or download what others have done. Now, just to show you, here are some other options for that, or you can search based on. That's my library. Sorry, I don't want to look at my library. I want to look at everybody else's. Okay, you can search for lessons based on your topic. Okay, U.S. history. If I could type, that'd be better. U.S. history. And here are all of these options to go through, and I'm not going to, but you get the idea. Pear Deck. Pear Deck is similar to Nearpod, except this time you can tell the computer where to add the questions. You create the questions. You can create. Let's start with electrical current and Ohm's law. This is pretty quick. You can find a nice place in here. Okay, and then you can add a multiple choice question. You can add different kinds of questions. Choose an answer. Okay. And you can see here that I'm adding options. Now that list is not your multiple choice answers. Your multiple choice answers would be here. And here it gives you a code for your students to join in, and we will move on. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time here. You can lock the slide. You can project student responses. There are no responses. You can ask new questions. And you have other options. Okay, you can turn this on. You can turn on student paste if you want this student to be student paste in session without naming. Okay. The very last thing I said I would like to show you was the iCloud software. This is really great because you can use this from your computer at home. You can use this from your iPad. You can use this from your iPhone, or your Microsoft Surface tablet. And again, Keynote, we spoke about that earlier. It's PowerPoint. It's Apple's version of PowerPoint. Nothing groundbreaking here, nothing mind-blowing, just a good functioning software. iCloud Numbers is their answer to Excel. You can do charts, you can do flow sheets, you can do math if you want to, you can put in formulas. And that's really all there is to it. We'll just try and let these load up, and we'll wrap this up. Okay. And here is your spreadsheet. Again, you have all of the features, or at least most of the features that you would have on Google Sheets and Google Slides, just in the Apple format. The very last thing I wanted to mention here was that this presentation, thank you very much. Have a nice night.